guys, welcome to Study Heroes. I hope you are well and you have your notebook and your pen and you are ready to practice with me as you watch this video. In this video, we're gonna be looking at the turning point of a parabola. By now, you know that your parabola graph looks like this or that. And you know that the topmost part of your parabola graph, the topmost point, rather, is called the maximum point. Okay. And you know that the lowest point of your parabola graph, which is this point, is called the minimum point. And therefore, this minimum point or that maximum point is what we call the turning point. Now we know that we'll have a minimum point if you look at this graph, is like a smile, a happy smile. It's looking up. When we are happy, we look up, you know. So our A is positive. When we're positive, we want to look up, we want to smile. So our A is positive, or we can say our A is greater than 0. That's when you get this minimum point. Okay, and then when it's like this, you can tell that, oh, it's sad or it's looking down. When you're looking down, it's usually due to negative feelings. So our A is negative, or our A is less than 0. Okay, so that's when you get your maximum. Just to, refresh our memory. So let's go to our question. We're dealing with question 6 from November 2024, NSC paper 1. So please stay through. If you can, watch the whole video, because I'm gonna go through multiple past papers so that you are familiar with how the questions are asked. But I'll be focusing specifically on the turning point only. Okay, this is a nice way to train your mind to do questions. Okay, so it's always good to read the information you are given. Even if you feel like you know the approach, you know the answer, read the information you are given. Know what you have first. Right. So they're saying to us, in the diagram below, the graphs of f at x, which equals to minus x squared plus 4x plus 5. Okay. And g, a straight line, are drawn. So they're telling us that g is a straight line, and then they've also drawn this graph, which then is this one, graph f. But if you didn't know which one is your parabola, you just look at the equation. If you look at the equation, the highest exponent is 2. So whenever your variable's highest exponent is 2, that's how you know that, okay, the graph here will be a parabola graph. And you can see our A here is negative. Like I said, that when it's negative, your graph has a it's got a sad face. It's looking down. You see, it's looking down. Okay, and then already you can tell by simply looking at the graph that point B is then your maximum point or your turning point. Okay, then they've given us C. They're telling us that it's a point of intersection of F and G, and they're telling us that EH is drawn parallel to the y-axis, with E a point on F and H a point on G. So all that information at this point, it's not really relevant to us. What is relevant to us is the equation they've given us, which is f at x, which equals to minus x squared plus 4x plus 5. Okay, now if you look at this equation, it should remind you that of y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. This form and this form are the same form. This is what we call the standard form. All right, so the parabola graph can be represented by different forms. So in this case, we have been given it in the form of what we call a standard form. And when you've been given the equation of a parabola in the standard form and you are asked to find the turning point, your possible approach is to go through this formula. You use x equals to minus b over 2a. Okay? This is how you find the x value of the turning point. Okay, so now 6.1 says to us, calculate the coordinates of B, the turning point of F. So they've already told us that we are finding B, which is the turning point of F. But even if they had just said to us, calculate the coordinates of B, we should be able to be like, oh, B is the turning point, and then we can use this approach. So let's go. 6.1. So we are going to use this formula to find the x value of the turning point. Okay. What is our B? Our B is 4. All over 2. What is our A? Our A is negative 1. Okay. Then our answer will be positive 2, because we'll have negative 4, we'll divide it by negative 2. Negative into a negative gives us a positive, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Alright, so now we have the x value of the turning point. We just need to find the y value of the turning point. How do we find the y value of the turning point? We find the y value by substituting the x value of the turning point into the equation of the parabola. So we're going to have f into 2. So wherever we see x in this equation, we're going to substitute it with 2 so we can find the y value when x is 2. Okay, so we put our 2 there. 4, instead of x, we're going to substitute it with 2 plus 5. So we have 2 squared. It's very important when you're doing your substitution to pay attention to your signs. You see this negative is outside the bracket, meaning it won't be squared together with the 2. Okay, so you'll have 2 squared, which is 4, and then with the negative it's going to be negative 4, plus 4 times 2 is 8. So negative 4 plus 8 is the same as saying 8 minus 4. You end up with positive 4 plus 5, which will give you a 9. So the coordinates of B, which is the turning point of graph F, are, the x value is 2, and then y value is 9. There you go. You're done. You found the turning point. All right. let's look at another example from another past paper. Let's look at this question from November 2023 NSC, question 5, paper 1. And we'll be answering question 5.1, which says, write down the coordinates of the turning point. Okay. Now, already by just looking at graph F, we can tell that B is the turning point, because B is the maximum point on the graph. But like I said, it's always good to read the information you've been given. Okay, so they're saying to us the graphs of f at x minus half, open bracket, x minus 1, close bracket, squared, plus 8, and g at x equals to d over x are drawn below. So they've given us the equations of the graphs that are drawn below. And then they're saying to us a point of intersection of f and g is B, the turning point of f. So B is the turning point of f and also a point where these two graphs are intersecting. The graph f has x-intercepts at that, and a y-intercept at C. Okay. So the first thing we're gonna do is to write the equation of the parabola, which has been given to us as f of x equals to minus half, open bracket, x minus 1 squared plus 8. Okay, now we know how to tell if the equation belongs to a parabola or not. If the highest variable has an exponent of 2, then it's probably a parabola. Okay, so when you look at the equation you've been given, okay, let me use this one. You can tell, or you should be able to tell, that it's in the form y equals to a x minus p plus q. This is what we call the turning point form. And the nice thing about the turning point form is that it's very easy to get the coordinates of the turning point. The x value of the turning point is the p. So you just write it as it is. It's p. But notice how here it's negative, but when I write it as a coordinate of the turning point, it becomes positive. It's because it's inside the bracket, and if you work it out, then the sign will change. It will be negative. But this q, it remains the same. The sign remains the same. So this is where it gets tricky. Always remember that when your p value is inside the bracket, when you write the coordinates, you will change the sign of the p value. If it was positive in the brackets, then when you write the coordinates, it will become negative, and vice versa. So what is our p? Our p is -1. So when we write it, it becomes positive. And then our q is 8. We write it as it is. The sign doesn't change. And that is our turning point. And we're done. Now I'm just writing this so you can remember and understand. You don't need to write it in your answer. You can just go straight to writing the coordinate of your turning point. Alright, let's look at another question paper. I told you guys that we're gonna do multiple past papers. So let's look at another question paper. Let's look at another question paper. This one is from November 2022. It's NSC paper 1, question 4. And we are gonna look at question 4.2.2, which says determine the coordinates of D for 2 marks. Okay, so we are looking at D. We see that D is on these 2 graphs, so it's a point of intersection. But we also see that for this graph, which is a parabola, we can see that D is the turning point. All right, but like I said, it's always important to read the statement you are given so you know the information that is available to you. Okay, so they're saying the graphs of f at x, which equals to x squared minus 4x minus 5. Okay, so we know that this is the graph, this is the equation of our parabola graph. So let's just write it down. It's f at x equals to x squared minus 4x minus 5. And then g at x, which equals to a times 2 to the power of k. Is it k or x? I think it's x. Plus q are sketched below. E and h are the x-intercepts of f. C is the y-intercept of f and lies on the asymptotes of g. The 2 graphs intersect at D, the turning point of F, and they told us to find the coordinates of D, and they are confirming to us that D is indeed the turning point of F. So we have all the information we need to be able to find the turning point. Remember that I said when your equation of the graph is given like this, we know that this is what we call the standard form of your parabola graph. And when we're given our graph, the equation of our graph in standard form, it's very easy to find the turning point because we then simply use the formula x equals to minus b over 2a. We take this formula, we find the x value of the turning point. What is our b? Our b is minus 4. So we first write minus, then we substitute our minus 4. Very important to pay attention to your signs. Right? We have 2 and our a is positive 1. Okay? Then we're gonna have negative times negative, which is positive 4 divided by 2. Then we end up with 2. Then we take our x value, we substitute it wherever we see x in the equation of the parabola. So now we want to know what is the value of y when x is 2. So wherever we see x, we substitute it with 2 to find the y value. So we have 2 squared, which is 4, minus 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 minus 8 plus 4, it will be minus 4. Minus 4 minus 5 gives us minus 9. So the coordinates of D, therefore, the coordinates of D are, your x value is 2, your y value is negative 9. Then you're done. You found the coordinates of D, which is the turning point of the graph of F. Let's look at one more past paper. This one is November 2021 NSC paper 1 question 7. All right, let me just write here so that we are aware that we are focusing on the turning point of a parabola. We're still on the turning point of a parabola. Everything we've discussed in this video is about the turning point of a parabola. Okay, so we're gonna do 7.2, which says calculate the coordinates of C. Like I said, so we're seeing C. Already by looking here, you can tell that C is the most minimum point of this graph. Therefore, C is the turning point of this graph. But it's always important to read the full statement you're given to know the information you have. Okay, so they're saying to us the graph of f at x, which equals to, first bracket is x plus 4, second bracket is x minus 6, is drawn below. And the parabola cuts the x-axis at B and D. So they've given us that B and D are the x-intercepts, and the y-axis at G. So the y-intercept is G. C is the turning point of F. So they are confirming to us that indeed we are correct. C is the turning point, and we're supposed to find the coordinates of C. Then they are telling us that line AE has an angle of inclination of theta, and it cuts the x-axis and y-axis at A and E respectively. And then T is a point on F between B and G. So for now, the relevant thing we need is the equation of the graph, and it has been given to us as f of x, which equals to, open bracket, x plus 4, close bracket, open bracket, x minus 6. So far we've seen examples of questions where they were asking us to find the turning point, but the equation of the graph was given to us in standard form and also in turning point form. But now we've been given in what we call the x-intercept form. So this one is the same as y equals to a x minus x1. Some say xm. It's the same thing. x2, some say xn. All right. So when it has been given to us in the x-intercept form, so x1 and x2, these are the x-intercepts. Whenever you've been given your equation, the equation of a parabola graph in this form, the only way to find the turning point using the the equation, is to multiply the brackets out and leave the equation in standard form. So we're gonna multiply the brackets out. So our f at x is gonna be equal to x squared. So, okay, let me use that. We're gonna first multiply this x with that x. We're gonna multiply that very same x with negative 6. We're gonna multiply it with the 4 with that x, and the 4 with that 6. So x and x give us x squared. X times negative 6 will give us negative 6x. 4 times x will give us positive 4x. 4 times negative 6 will give us negative 24. So we're going to have x squared minus 6x plus 4x. Because the signs are different, what do? You subtract. Then you have 6 minus 4, which is 2. Then you take the sign of the bigger number. Between 6 and 4, the bigger number is 6. So you take the negative, and your answer is negative 2x minus 24. Okay, then from this point, we know that, okay, our equation has now reached what we call the standard form. And once our equation is in standard form, to find the turning point, we first find the x value of the turning point using the formula x minus b over 2a, which equals to minus, what is our b? It's minus 2. Minus 2. See how I pay attention to the minus? I make sure I write the minus of the formula first before I start to substitute, so that I don't end up forgetting to add the sign of the b value. Alright, 2. What is our a value? Our a value is 1. Then we're gonna have negative times negative 2, which will be positive 2. Positive 2 divided by positive 2 will give you 1. So now we have the x value. We just need to find the y value of the turning point. So we simply substitute the x value into the equation of the parabola graph. So wherever we see x, we substitute with 1. There we go. Okay, so we're going to end up with 1 squared, which is 1 minus 2, which will be minus 1. Minus 1 minus 24 will give you minus 25. So we have found the coordinates of C. They are 1 and negative 25. There we go. I hope that this video was helpful to you. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel, and comment. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much. Bye.